I said, when they bring instant replay into WCBL, that's when I'm out. I'm retired. I don't need to be told. I don't need to be told instantly how wrong I am right off the bat. I'll let people tell me afterwards and everything else.
Welcome to episode 204 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. There's no doubting Brent Radlinsky's dedication to the New York Yankees. All you need to do is see the wall behind him when he's hosting his podcast or chatting with you on Zoom. It's all jerseys and memorabilia from the Bronx Bombers. There's also no doubting his love of the game of baseball. Whether it's talking about the game on his 1420 podcast, the occasional writing he does for Belly Up Sports, or at the field as an umpire at a variety of levels in southern Alberta, Radlinsky is a baseball lifer. The Fort McLeod product recently joined us, and we shared a few laughs about his baseball journey, some of his favorite moments, and the worst call he ever made. Brent, thanks so much for joining us here on the podcast.
Hey, not a problem. It's nice to be on the other side of the microphone for once, not asking and telling and everything else. I'm going to sit back, relax, and answer some questions for you. Good to be here.
I'm intrigued to see how this all plays out because you are used to asking the questions, and I'm going to start off here. Your Twitter bio reads, Yankees fan, host of the 1420 Sports Podcast, and occasional writer of Belly Up Sports. What it doesn't mention, though, is umpire. Where do you find time in the day to do all of the things that you do?
Well, I have a very forgiving wife, I guess is what I can say. She lets me stay home, and I work on some other things that a passion of mine now. And I had to get rid of the occasional umpire things. I had to fit some sponsors in there. So that's why the umpire things are on there. But I get up quite early, and I found that the podcasting thing and the writing thing and all the rest of it's become more of a job than my real job used to be. And it's a lot more time put in. It's a little bit less laborious, but it's something that I enjoy, and we just carry on and keep things going.
Before we hit the record button, we talked a little bit about you growing up. You're a Southern Alberta kid, born and raised, but let's talk about life in baseball specifically. Let's go right back to the very beginning. Did you play the game? Was it something that you were good at? What kind of ball player were you?
Well, how it all kind of went for me is when I was 5 years old, my little brother was born in the house we had in Fort McLeod, Alberta, just down the road there, small little town. If you guys people don't know, it's just west of Lethbridge. We moved out of 19th Street to a house on 22nd Street that my mom is still in to this day. And there was not one, but two Little League fields right across the street. And it was heaven for me all of a sudden. It was a game that I hadn't seen a whole bunch of at that age, but then you're 5 years old in a small town at that time. You just wandered across the street. Your parents didn't mind you taking off for a few, especially with a baby brother in the house. So I was allowed to just go across the road and play a lot of baseball and t-ball and the whole bit. So I played at such a young age. I don't remember not playing, whether it was just playing scrub or playing organized baseball, t-ball, soul pitch. And then I was always around so much because I was across the street. I got to play with some older teams because if a kid didn't show up or they were short staffed, I would just kind of hover around and play a lot when I was a kid. And I was very fortunate to be able to do that.
Very cool. When did it turn for you when you said, maybe this isn't the game I can play, but maybe I can be involved in some other way?
Well, the thing was when I was about 12, 13 years old, I could play a little bit. I mean, the all-star teams and this, that, and the other in the summertime. I was never great, but I was good enough. I was serviceable. But I found that when I was about 12 or 13 years old, instead of getting in trouble, I could go across the street, and I was too old to play in those fields anymore. I could go and make $5 a game or $10 a game and a hot dog or whatever it was. And just umpire a game. Was an hour and a half and 6 innings, and you made sure they're done an hour and a half because it could be quite atrocious. And without any training or anything, I would go and umpire the bases at a young age, and then go out there because my neighbor Jake O'Boker, he was an umpire full time, certified Little League Canada, the whole bit. And he said, "Yeah, come and give me a hand doing this." Yeah, I said, "Why not? What harm could be done?" And it was a lot of fun. It was something I really enjoyed doing at a young age, and I just kept going at it. And then when I was, I think I was about 15 years old, and the Little League 13-year-old, since junior Canadians were in Fort McLeod, the hometown, and Brent, the late, great Brent Derricott in the umpire world here in Southern Alberta, he somehow finagled me to do a few games on the bases. And then I did on the plate, I did a game on that was a, a consolation file that didn't mean anything, but it was kind of neat for me at the age of 15, I think it was, to be umpiring a 13-year-old game at a national tournament. So that's kind of how I got in it and stuck with it.
Was it hard making that transition from being a player to being an official, given that you're probably used to giving the umps a bit of your business and now you're having to receive it?
Well, that was the funny thing, Joe, is that yeah, I used to be a bit of a, I'm going to say it, a bit of a red ass as a player, and I didn't mind telling because I got a big yap. That's why I got a podcast. I guess that hasn't changed a whole bunch, but I had a big yap back then, and I would say things to umpires. And for all those who listen to this show, I apologize for anything that I may have said to you in the past if you're a little bit older now and everything else. But no, I didn't find it that hard because I had a pretty quick retort, I guess, to say things back to people. And then I kind of learned the error of my ways as a player quickly that maybe I shouldn't have been saying that stuff. And you would learn to, as an umpire, and it's something that we have a clinic here that to hear everything, but don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of something that I learned at an early age as an umpire. Yeah, guys say stuff, but they don't really mean it. There's a reason why they say things, a reason why things can come in and out. So I didn't let it bother me too much. And I was, back then I was a pretty witty. Well, still, I guess I think I am. My wife doesn't think so very much, but
It's situational.
Say things. It's situational. Things you can say and things you're not supposed to say, and things you can ignore and not ignore. So I didn't let it bother me a whole bunch at that point.
Mm-hmm. When you look back on it over the course of now, 40 years in the game plus, any highlights so far?
When I went to the Jim Evans Umpire Academy in 19, geez, man, I'm getting old. When you say 19 and the year in front of it instead of 2000, 1997, when I went to, I had a situation where I went to Jim Evans Umpire Academy in Kissimmee, Florida, and I learned, I went in a little bit green. I hadn't taken a whole bunch of training per se. I just went out in the field, do Little League, like those half-day clinics you take in Little League, and you go out in the field and you hope for the best, expect the worst, hope for the best kind of deal back then. But then I took some official training, so that was a highlight, learning how to do things. And the guy who is the crew chief right now, who I still chat with once in a while this day, Dan, I thought he's the crew chief of the World Series. So the people that I've met through the game, it's kind of a highlight through the Umpire Academy I took there. This year I had like 3 different highlights. Just this year, we can go way back. But this year, doing the All-Star game in Okotoks this year for the WCBL, that was a lot of fun. That's one I won't forget anytime soon. And having my mother there to watch, and that was a lot of fun. The CCBC Championship this year in Lethbridge, getting to do that one. But I think the biggest one, and it's just this year, was the Okotoks Dogs and the Moose Jaw Miller Express, the final this year. I was on third base for that game in front of 6,000 plus people. That was something different, and I had to give myself a bit of just a step back before the game started, because it's at the end of the day, it's just a baseball game. But when there's 6,000 people there, and I've never worked the third base in Okotoks, and that hillside there where they have all the people sitting there, and they're awfully close and they're a little bit boisterous there. So I had to take a little step back and say, okay, yeah, this is the real deal here, and these kids mean it tonight. Because it's for a lot of those kids, for me, and I got thinking about this, and we were talking with Chris Hartley before the game, is that some of these kids, it might have been their last baseball game, they were a competitive game they played in their life. So this one actually means something that, say, maybe game 1 or 2 of the WCBL season didn't. So like just this year, I had 3 pretty big highlights compared to some mundane games I did in the past.
I've asked players this, and I'm curious from an umpire's perspective, when you are in a situation like that where you know that there's a capacity crowd or a really big crowd, as an umpire, do you take that step back and acknowledge the situation as well? Like, do you take that moment to breathe it in and go, I can't believe I'm doing this right now?
Yeah, like it's not the World Series by any means, but I guess it's our World Series for WCBL umpires. I mean, that's kind of the like around here, that's the best baseball we're going to see in Western Canada. Maybe with the West Coast League, we can talk about that another day, because that might be taken over. There's rumors about that, but there is definitely, when you're out there in front of that many people, and the game means a lot. You have to take a step back, and maybe you take an extra pitch or 2 behind the plate before it starts, and maybe you. During the home plate meeting, you might talk with the coach a little bit more and just go, okay, and get their vibe a little bit to see how they're handling it. Because other than Mitch, in Okotoks, most of the coaches are rather are a lot. No offense, Mitch, but most of the other coaches are a lot younger. So you want to get their feeling how they're taking the game, and then get their scope, because if they're a little revved up, then you can go, okay, this is how this game might turn out to be. But Mitch was a very calming influence in that one, because he was joking about, I can't even remember what it was. They were joking about things out there, but you do take a step back, and it takes a pitch or two, and you go and you hope you don't get a check. Like I said, I was on third, and you hope the very first pitch of the game isn't a check swing pointed my way, because I don't know if I would have got it. I wouldn't have been paying attention, to be honest with you. Looking the other way, looking for see where my mom was sitting or something. Who knows? But yeah, one of those deals.
You mentioned that we were talking about it off air, missing calls, and you said that was one of the hardest questions you've asked of another umpire. So I want to ask that of you. What's the worst call you've ever made?
Oh, geez, there's been a number of not a, okay.
Now he's outing himself.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said that, because everybody listening to the Alberta Dugout Stories podcast is going to be. Remember, you said this one. You said you got that one right, so everybody's going to be. There was a couple. It was down in Great Falls, Montana, years ago, and about 1998 or 99, I think it was. And there was a kid going for the batting title, and there's a two-man system, so I had the fair fouls. I was on home plate, and it was a shot down first base, and the guy was running down. The catcher curled in front of me, and then the first base coach, he looked, and the first baseman, everybody decided at one point in the game, they all decided to look at the baseball. First time ever in the history of the game, and to my opinion, that it never happened. And I saw it bounce. I saw it go out of play. I killed it. Foul, foul, foul. Point it. Very adamant that I had it right. There was no way I had it wrong, because the ball was over the fence. Out of nowhere, this kid, he comes running down, and he spoke very little English. He was saying all kinds of words that I probably should have objected for, but I didn't know what the words even meant. So I was like, all right, good enough. And then the coach come out, and he loses it. So eventually I kind of figured I must have got it really wrong, because if they were that upset, I must have really blown this call. So I throw the coach out of the game, and it was an ex-Major League guy. I don't want to say his name. Maybe I will. Mickey Hatcher was his name.
Oh, yeah.
And remember Mickey Hatcher?
Yep.
So he got a little bit upset with me, and I was like, oh, man, this isn't very good. So I threw him out of the game, went back to the hotel that later on that night, and I watched the game. And the home plate meeting the next day, he didn't say much. We had a smirk on his face, and he says, "Did you watch TV last night, Brent?" And I said, "Yeah. I mean, I'm sure as the day, as long as the ball was about 2 inches in fair territory." So that was one that definitely I blew in a horrible way, but we had a laugh at it later on anyway. So it was no harm, no foul. The guy got a base at the next pitch anyway, so it didn't much matter. But it was just quite funny.
It's funny how a lot of athletes will say that baseball is a game of failure, and yet umpires aren't allowed to have that failure, are they?
Oh, and I've always said that, Joe, is when I do decide to say when it's all said and done, when I'm 75 years old, the way retirement's going for me, that my very last game, if a kid makes an error, or a guy strikes out on a pitch in the dirt, or a coach makes a call for a bunt or a hit and run or a steal or whatever, and I know that it's a mistake, when I know it's my last game, I'm going to run over to that coach or go over in my walker or wheelchair, where it might be at that point, and I'm going to make a point of telling those guys how bad their decision was, how bad that play was. How can you not throw a ball from first base to shortstop, or from shortstop to first base? I'm going to make sure that I get my 2 cents out for every umpire who's ever been yelled at over the years. And it doesn't happen very often anymore. Like that's one thing I noticed, Joe, that the way the game has changed compared to what it was 20, 25 years ago, is that yes, there are disagreements, but now it's more of a the games don't mean as much, because there's so many more teams and so many more players who jump from team to team in summer baseball, and then there's club teams and there's travel teams, and there's not as much of a community involvement, so there's not as much anger, I guess, per se, and the games don't mean as much, so it's a lot more hootering out there for teams and stuff. If that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it, from a personal perspective, any more challenging now, or maybe it's easier to maybe forgive yourself in those situations? Because I know from an umpire or any kind of sport official perspective, you're probably your own worst critic, right? And so you go home and you probably mull over, you might have had 99% of the calls right, but that 1% is the one that keeps you up at night.
there are some like there's some that bug you the rides home after games, like say if you're in Medicine Hat, I'm in Lethbridge now, or if you go the long ride from Brooks after getting the mosquitoes off you. There's the ones that you think about and you go, geez, did I get that right? Or the ones that you know that you blew. Those are the tough ones that you don't get over, because there's times where that you're sure you got it right, and then you start questioning yourself, because in general, coaches, players, managers, whatever, they won't say a word. They
Mm-hmm.
won't say anything. But if you're wrong, they'll kind of give you a sideways look. It's very rare that, especially a guy my age, where I'm not like the game's not going, the call's not going to get changed. But a lot of the times, it bugs me when you get a pitch wrong. You go, oh, that wasn't even close, and the guys look at you, but you can't change it. Those ones later on at night, when you're at home having a nice cold Bud Light, those are the ones that really get to you a lot more. I don't even know if the players even know that the call was wrong sometimes, but when the umpire, yeah, you know a lot. And those are the ones that really bug you. Man, I screwed that kid out of that pitch, or the kid should have had the stolen base and changed the game, and those bug you a lot. And sometimes it bothers you even more when guys don't say anything, because then they're so disgusted with you they don't even want to say anything. And like there's guys that just like, it's like when you're a kid and your parents shake your head at you, shake their head at you.
I'm
You're
not
in bigger
mad. I'm
trouble for
just
that.
disappointed.
I'm disappointed. I'd rather someone be mad at me than disappointed, because it's when you don't hear anything, and people are upset with you. That's the worst. It is.
Now, is it easier or harder in today's day and age, in your eyes, to be an umpire at a lower level because you don't have the scrutiny? And I'll use the social media stuff that you're seeing now at the major league level, where there are accounts dedicated to kind of the accuracy of a game call by an umpire. Are coaches and players a little bit more forgiving of people like you who don't have the benefit of instant replay, who don't have the benefit of all this new technology that's at everybody's hands at the major league level?
Well, I said to my partner and to coaches like Brandon Oberg, I do a lot of games with here in Lethbridge. I said, when they bring instant replay into WCBL, that's when I'm out. I'm retired. I don't need to be told. I don't need to be told instantly how wrong I am right off the bat. I'll let people tell me afterwards and everything else. But we don't get a ton, because I think because I did have one situation this summer where a kid out of Brooks, he said I got a pitch wrong. I don't think I did, because I called it a strike, and still a strike to this day. The call still hasn't been changed 4 months later. But he said he was going to go home and watch Home Team Live and make sure that he was right and I was wrong. And I said, well, it's still going to be the call I made, because I think that having the social media accounts, it's and us, me not having that, it makes it easier to your butt's not clenched up as much, because if you make a mistake, or if you get it right, if you get it wrong, there's no real scrutiny and no real arguments can be had a day later or in the moment. And I think that at our level that we do, I think it's actually better for a guy to be able to go out there and to make his calls and do it right, and to not have that scrutiny right off the bat. And I think that's so important for not only myself, because that's still an amateur umpire at the end of the day with amateur players, but to have younger guys out there. I think it's important to not have the social media and the technology on the field, because guys are so revved up to be an umpire. It's tough. It's tough to get every call right, and to have that scrutiny would make it even tougher, because you don't need to be picked on and yelled at for see here, and guys are bringing their phones out or whatever it is. I don't think that would be good for amateur baseball at all. I really don't.
Well, and the other thing too is I think it becomes a bit of a crutch, right? Because then all of a sudden they go, well, if I'm a little bit lazy on this call, then I could always just go back to the technology that might be available to me, instead of paying attention 100% of the time.
Well, it goes along with what you're saying. Like, why are players allowed to make mistakes? Right? They don't get redos, and I don't think having that the robo umps, I don't think it's a good idea. Do we all get upset that a pitch was called? Like, there was one guy in Major League Baseball this year, and he had an 86. It was a Jays game. And he had an 84, 86% strike rate or efficiency rate, and oh well, did any of those calls actually change the outcome of the game?
Mm-hmm.
In the big picture, I mean, there's been very few. There has been some in the history of baseball that have changed the outcome of a game, but in the how many thousands of baseball games played across this land of ours, how many games actually get altered by an umpire? There's not a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to that young umpire aspect of things, what do you say to especially in this day and age where it's really tough to bring in some new talent and get some new faces? I know Baseball Alberta has been challenged by it. I know down in your neck of the woods, you've been challenged by bringing in
Extremely.
some new talent. How do you coax those kids who might have a baseball background but don't want to do it? How do you get them to come out and put on the stripes?
Well, lately we've been doing a thing with the Southern Alberta Umpire Association. We have a bi-weekly clinic. It's not rules. It's not sitting in a classroom and bitten bored out of your mind listening to Charlie Brown's teacher. Just say nothing and you don't hear anything. We do on the field stuff. We just started a cage stuff, and we have some catchers. A catcher now that plays for the PBA. He's injured right now, so he couldn't play. And he came down this week and he was listening to things. Go, hey, this is kind of neat. And I was like, well, this is the way you can stay in the game, because there's all these new teams popping up, and everybody wants to be a coach for some reason. I said, you can be an umpire, make a pretty decent, not, you're not getting rich by any means, but it's good pocket money on a weekly basis. You can go out and make X amount of dollars, and you can be part of the game for a long time. And you don't have parents phoning you every night. You don't have kids giving you grief all the time. You can put it away and you can have a good time. And that's something we're really trying to push with kids and players more at the 17, 18 years old, saying, come out and do this, because you can be part of the game for a long time. And because there is a lack of officials, you can climb the ranks pretty quick if you're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can end up as a WCBL guy in a rather quick period of time. And the one thing that I try to do with these younger guys is not just be their mentor, is be their partner first, and go out and have a good time and show, okay, this is what we can do. And then, like, I'm not going to go out here, and we're going to have a good time, and we can have a lot of laughs doing it. And then you get more respect from the coaches on that point. And then the coaches will actually, they'll be nice to that kid trying to do it. Because in general, you hear the horror stories all the time about, the umpire got punched in the face and the umpire got tracked down. You hear that a lot more, and then the yelling and the screaming. But in general, there is bad ones. But in general, it's a lot of fun. And most coaches are really good. Like 99% of them are good. Most parents 99% of them are really good. And you have to promote that a lot. That it's not the horror stories you hear. And with social media, and you know it more than I do probably, and in the media. They aren't going to promote the feel-good stories very much, because those don't get clicks.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to, as umpires, as Baseball Alberta, as Southern Alberta Umpire Association, whatever it is, we need to promote the goodness of baseball again, and how great the game actually is, because it's a lot of fun being out there, and it's a way we can stay in the game for a long time.
Mm-hmm. What's it meant to you to be able to give back to the game the way you have in a completely different way, not just from an umpire perspective, but also to be able to share the stories that you do through your own show?
It's been so much fun, and it's been the thing with I'm more of a Twitter guy, because Facebook is kind of ridiculous to me, but whatever, because I don't care what you had for supper. But the way Facebook has, because there's so many communities that are out there that people are their groups, and the umpire associations right across the country. And like, I had John Galante, the Tri-State, he actually contacted me. He wanted to be on our show to talk about his association and help out. And there's such a great community of umpires, and everybody has the same issues with trying to recruit umpires, whether it be in Canada, United States, East Coast, West Coast, Alberta, Saskatchewan. Everybody tries to reach out and help out a lot. And it's been so good, and that we're not the only ones, and we're not the only ones that are struggling. I don't want to say failing, but struggling. And it's nice to see that you have a community of people who are trying to help each other out and try to keep the game going. And down here in Lethbridge, even, like, we started a YouTube channel, and I think it was, I don't know who runs their social media account, but I'm just going to assume it's Hubka. He even retweeted some of our stuff and liked our Facebook page and stuff. So it's nice to see that you have the backing of people, because without umpires doing the games, it's just practice, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just a scrimmage. And when everybody knows that you need umpires to keep the game going, it means a lot that you're helping out the good of the game. And like we had talked about the other night on our show, when you're able to give back to the game a little bit in some way, whether it be 20 years later or 10 years later or 5 years later, it's nice to know that there are people who are reciprocating that, and they're trying to help out as well.
And this is exactly why we brought you on the show, because we wanted to talk exactly about the umpiring side of things, because you guys don't get enough respect at the end of the day. So happy to have you on and be able to share those stories. The final question for you, like we ask everybody, what does a game of baseball mean to you?
It pretty much means everything. As you can see behind me, I'm kind of a Yankee dork. I got all kinds of shrapnel in behind me. I don't know if it's a thing, but no, it means everything to me. I love the game. I always have, like I said, since the age of 5 when I grew up across the street in my parents' house in Fort McLeod there. It's something you can go to the game. It's the greatest game in the world, because everybody at one point of time has played it, whether it be softball or baseball or kickball or something. Not everybody plays football. Not everybody plays soccer. Not everybody plays hockey. But at some point, everybody has played either rec softball and everybody has their opinion, and everybody can sit in the stands and enjoy it. And the camaraderie that can happen at a ball field, there's nothing quite like it, whether it be at a major league game, a WCBL game, or a little league game. You don't even really got to pay attention to the game, but once you hear the crack of the bat, you can stop and you can turn your head, and the person sitting next to you can be your best friend for a long time when you're at a game. And there's the benefits that I've got far outweigh the negatives. I mean, like I said, you get yelled at a little bit on a ball field, but the positives that happen, and you see a kid get a hit for the first time, or you see a kid catch a ball for the first time, or a big home run or an all-star game or whatever, like WCBL we had this year, and you see the excitement that comes from fans' eyes when I'm out on the field and they're having a great time. There's nothing quite like it. And, to be a part of the game that I am now, it's second to none for me.
Such a cool story, and love listening to not only your stories here, but also through your show as well. Brent, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for joining us here on the podcast.
No, not a problem, Joe. Anytime any help you need, I'm here to help and spread the good word of baseball for sure. Thanks a lot.
Thanks again to Brent Radlinsky for joining us this week, and a special shout out to all the umpires and officials out there for all you do for the game. It's a highly scrutinized position that doesn't get a lot of love, so we were happy to have Brent on this week and can't wait to spotlight a few others in the future. Before we go, we'd like to tip our caps to our Platinum supporters for all they do for us and for baseball in Alberta. We are forever grateful to the Okotoks Dogs and AHP Academy for their tremendous show of generosity, which helps us cover costs like web hosting and podcast software fees. Head to our website to learn more about our great supporters and teammates. Until next time, thank you for all your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.